Hello everybody, it's Marco here, and today I want to take advantage of a question from someone on TikTok to make a video about the specific topic. So there are infinite ways you can create a pet sound, but today we are going to focus on the ones that FL Studio 3 oscillators offers us. Alright, let's jump into FL Studio. Before diving into the technical aspects, here's a little bonus content. I've decided to channel some of the techniques I'll be explaining in the video into this patcher device that you can grab for free on our website. Make sure to stay until the end for a detailed explanation of the device. So what I'm going to put my attention on is how to make a simple pet sound, and afterwards I'm going to show some tips and some tricks you can apply to make it sound more interesting. So the first thing I did here is I opened up the oscillators, and just to start in the simplest way possible, I'm gonna only use one oscillator, and I turned off the other two oscillators. I set the first oscillator to be a sine wave, and then I've drawn two chords in the piano roll. So the first thing that I suggest to do to achieve a pet-like sound is to play with the volume envelope. There are no absolute rules to follow, of course. What I recommend is to start increasing the attack here to get rid of the transient and to increase the release at the end. You can even play with these little knobs down here which allow you to shape the ADSR curves. Yeah, so go ahead and play with the parameters until you achieve a result that you like. Now that I have achieved a smooth sound with a soft attack and a long tail, let's move to the pitch envelope of the same tab, and here we can play around with the settings to modulate the pitch of our sound to make it more unique, more particular. In this example, I have all the parameters at 0% except for the decay, which is around 27%. I play with the tension of it, and I have the amount here at around -10%. It means that the sound is gonna start at a specific pitch, which I set using the amount knob here, and then the pitch is gonna increase over time following the decay curve that I've drawn here. Yeah, you can hear that little wow effect at the beginning of the sound. I will now exaggerate the effect to make it more evident. Yeah, as you can see, you can have fun with that and come up with very cool results. One thing you can do here, still in the pitch tab, is you can move to the LFO control here, turn the attack all the way down, increase the amount by just a tiny bit, like 2-3%, and increase the speed. You are now modulating the pitch by using this LFO. That's a quick way you can simulate what happens in tape recorders with the introduction of pitch variations and overall instability. If you want to get even crazier with the pitch modulations, you can assign this amount knob here to a random LFO. Make sure that the volume knob of the LFO is not too high and set the speed to be pretty fast. Bring the whole parameter all the way up. As you can see on the graphic here, we are achieving some random pitch variations and fluttering. Okay, so now that we got the sound that we wanted, let's assign it to a mixer channel and let's have fun with some effects. In this stage, there is basically an infinite amount of things you can do. I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as possible and show some basic processing. The first effect I'm using is 3T Delay 3, but I'm not using it as a delay. I'm actually just using the modulation tab here and the feedback distortion. So I put the delay time all the way down, the feedback level all the way down as well, and the dry knob on the right all the way down. It's pretty clear now that I'm a huge fan of pitch modulation, so you can play around with the rate modulation here to once again control the pitch of the sound. What I like to do now is to introduce a little bit of saturation by using this level knob here. Yeah, just a tiny bit to give it some character. One additional thing you can do with the delay tree is you can use this offset and have the delay model on mono, have a relatively low feedback level, and then I'm gonna increase the offset. You can really notice the stereo opening of the sound. Okay, next thing I want to show you is this blur effect here on the fruity convolver, which will basically turn your sound into a huge and lush pad. But before that, I want to make sure to get rid of some of the resonances so I can then come up with the pad sound, which doesn't sound too harsh. Now that we've done it, we can activate our fruity convolver. While still listening to it, I want to go back to the oscillator and fix the envelope a little bit. I want to increase the release and lower the attack. For the sake of experimentation, I want to see how my pad would sound like if I decided to go with a different sound wave. Let's go back to the sine wave and introduce another oscillator with a different sound wave. Let's activate the third oscillator as well. One thing I suggest to do is to try different reverbs, so I switched the fruity convolver with Valhalla Supermassive. I'm going to use the legendary preset Benson Arizona. Alternatively, I can use a shimmer reverb or this very long echo effect. Now that I have my pad, I can, for example, use a filter to shape it as I wish. Let's now apply some other effects to make it even more interesting. I'm using the vintage chords here to make it sound more wide. This Kramer tape stereo emulation for saturation and fluttering. I'm using Sketch Cassette 2 because I can't avoid using it. I apologize. And the very last thing I did here is I resampled the original dry signal. I put it inside the fruity granulizer and play around with the settings until I came up with something that I liked. And then I assigned it to the same mixer channel of the 3 oscillator pad, so it will go through the same processing chain, and this is how it sounds now. Regardless of whether you're making pads or anything else, I think assigning different things to same mixer channels is a cool thing, because other than letting you save some CPU, of course, it will help creating an organic sound environment, because more sounds are going to be affected by the same devices and the same mixing chains, and that will lead to a more cohesive and organic result. As promised, here is an in-depth analysis of the device mentioned at the beginning of the video. Remember, it's free and available by following the link in the description. The device consists of 5 modules that allow you to shape your pad sound how you like. It starts from a sine wave that you can decide to blend with 2 other oscillators, a triangle wave and a saw wave. You can then set the attack and the release of the sound, play around with these 2 knobs here, a little fluttering device and a ring modulator to make your sound more interesting before going into the reverb. You can then blur your sound to make it a wide stereo ambient pad, and finally mess with this post instability knob, which will introduce some additional chorus and random pitch modulation to the sound. I also added this little filter here that allows you to shape the final pad. I think that can be it for the video. Of course, the creation and the experimentation doesn't stop here. There are millions of effects and techniques you can apply to make your pad sound more unique and more personal. If you know or have used some techniques that you would like to share, please comment that down below. And of course, let us know if you like the video and enjoy this kind of format. With that being said, I will see you next time. Ciao.